It's all led to this, the end of an iconic franchise. Well, until Warner Brothers wants to milk it for more money. It's funny, I wrote that line in my review like 3 days before they announced a Conjuring series on HBO Max, so what did I tell you? Hi everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions. Today I'm going to give you my review of the last entry in the mainline Conjuring series, The Conjuring Last Rites. But before we get started, please leave a like, it really helps out the channel, and at the end of the review, if you think I've earned it, please subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I post. Now onto the review. So this one moves the timeline up to 1986, and much like the third movie, it places Patrick Wilson's and Vera Farmiga's Ed and Lorraine Warren front and center in the story. This time, they're a bit older, near retirement, ready to finally hang up the rosaries and holy water, when their daughter Judy, now an adult, grown up and played by Mia Tomlinson, gets engaged to a young man named Tony, played by Ben Hardy. But when tragedy strikes, the Warrens, yes, Ed, Lorraine, and Judy, along with Tony, get pulled to West Pittston, Pennsylvania to investigate the haunting of the Smurl family. What they find will change their lives forever and bring their ghost hunting careers to an end. Let's talk the Conjuring movies. I really enjoyed the first one. Love the second, it's my favorite out of the whole series. Felt kinda let down by the third and its weird decision to turn Ed and Lorraine into detectives hunting down a Satanist. And the spin-offs, the less said about those, the better. Except for Annabelle Creation. That is a straight up banger and I will defend that movie until the day I die. So where does Last Rites land? Honestly, it's kind of a mixed bag. In some places, the film really nails what made the Conjuring series so special in the first place. In others, I'm not gonna lie, it kinda drops the ball. So let's start with what works, which has been the most consistent thing throughout this entire franchise. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as the Warrens. No surprise there, right? Regardless of how you feel about the real Warrens, and trust me, I have some harsh opinions on them. In these movies, as fictionalized characters, they're iconic. Patrick Wilson's charm combined with Farmiga's calm, warm, but quietly fierce energy really give these films their heart. Watching them go from tender, supportive, and intimate one moment to straight up badasses staring down the face of evil the next is always a highlight in these movies. And honestly, these two carry Last Rites. They bring all the heart you'd expect. Their love for each other, their devotion to helping these families that get haunted, their unshakable bond with their daughter. They've always been wholesome, heroic figures in these films, and that hasn't changed here at all. And it doesn't hurt too that the new additions make this story feel a bit more fresh. We finally get time with Judy as a real character, played beautifully here by Mia Tomlinson. Yes, she was one of the main characters in Annabelle Comes Home, played by McKenna Grace, but she felt more like a plot device in that movie, even though her subplot about being bullied and not thinking that anybody's gonna come to her birthday party was a very heartfelt thing. But here, she's engaged, she's grown up, and she's finally stepping into the family business, regardless of how much her parents don't want her to. And for the first time, she's a real driving force in this story with agency. Her visions and inherited gift are what gets the Warrens tangled up in the Smurl haunting in the first place. She's sympathetic, brave, well written. Her performance is great, and she has amazing chemistry with Ben Hardy, who I thought was really solid as Tony. Tony could have just been another tag-along boyfriend character that's in so many horror movies, but between Hardy's performance and the writing, they bring a lot of depth to this character. He's likable, he has his own touching backstory, and his attempts to impress Ed make for some genuinely sweet and pretty funny moments. And there are a couple heartfelt moments between Ben Hardy and Patrick Wilson here that really stood out to me, and just add to the emotional core of this film. Even the Smurl family is well performed.
8 people have experienced this. 8 people are not crazy.
If underutilized, but we'll get to that in a bit. Regardless of what I'm going to say about the Smurls coming up, you do feel for them and their terror, even if they're not as fleshed out as the families from the first 2 Conjuring films, particularly the second. Now let's talk scares. There is a basement scene in this movie that had me literally shaking. No exaggerating. I thought it was one of the scariest sequences in this entire franchise. And for most of the runtime, the movie balances slow building dread with jump scares that are well timed and feel earned. Something this series has always excelled at when it's at its best. And because this is supposedly the end of the main series, I have to mention the ending. No spoilers, but I'll just say this. In my opinion, I thought it was perfect. After 2 hours of intensity and tension, the final moments are deeply emotional and beautifully tie the whole series together. You leave the theater with a strange mix of hope and closure, which is rare in horror. Now for the stuff that didn't quite work. This movie really could have benefited from an extra 20 to 30 minutes. One of the reasons that the first 2 Conjuring films work so well is because they give us time to spend with these families that get haunted. We really get to know them before the terror starts. We get glimpses of that with the Smurls, but the movie cuts away from them so often to focus on the Warrens or Judy and Tony's story that the haunted family starts to feel secondary. And while I did enjoy the inclusion of an evil mirror as the film's main conduit, seriously, very Oculus vibes. So much of that thing's backstory felt glossed over or just outright missing. And that's true for a few things in this film. At one point in the third act, a plot point comes up that made me feel like I fell asleep or missed a scene. Nope. they just didn't explain it. To keep going with my complaints, some of the scares in this movie really border on goofy territory. There's a scene with the Annabelle doll that flies in the face of every other scene involving her in the entire series, and another involving the terrifying mirror that nearly kills all the tension the movie's built up. It's frustrating because this is the big finale. You want each scare to really feel impactful, and some of them really don't. The movie's not perfect. It's a little rushed, a little uneven, and has a few moments that feel like complete missed opportunities. But there's still a lot to enjoy here if you're a Conjuring fan. The characters of the Warrens are incredible as always, Judy and Tony bring a fresh and emotional layer to this story, and the family dynamic here is genuinely touching. Plus, the cinematography and production values are beautiful here. This is a gorgeous movie to look at, and when the scares work, they really work. That basement scene alone is worth the price of admission in my opinion. Most importantly, the ending nails the emotional landing. If this really is the last mainline Conjuring film, I thought it ended on a high note, a mixed bag, but one that I liked a lot more than I didn't. Definitely worth checking out for yourself, especially if you're a fan of this franchise. And that's my review of The Conjuring: Last Rites. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this review, you know exactly what to do. I said it at the beginning. Please leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I post a new review. While you're at it, you can scroll down the description below, find the links to my socials, leave a comment, let me know if you saw this movie and what you thought. And if you want more of my content, you can click or tap on these cards right here. I'll take you to my review of The Toxic Avenger, or just over to my channel where you can check out the rest of my reviews. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time for my review of The Long Walk.